So what are the pros and cons of buying a home in a low interest rate market versus a slightly higher interest rate market? It's Ronnie over at Samson Properties, back for another video. Make sure that you subscribe and turn on that notification bell so that you never miss another video in reference to the DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia real estate markets. Other than a slightly higher payment, there are several pros and cons of buying a home in a low interest rate market and a slightly higher interest rate market. Now, just to clarify one thing, the pandemic interest rates were the lowest that they've ever been in history. Now, let me just say this. The average interest rate during an average market for real estate when it comes to mortgages is between 3 and 6%. Okay, that's average. Now, when we had interest rates in the 2%, that is something that is almost once in a lifetime. We do not see that very often. I've been in real estate for about 12 years. I've owned several homes. The lowest interest rate that I've ever paid was 3 and some change, and the highest that I've ever had was 5 and some change. So out of that 12-year span, we've never been that low. Will we ever see that again? Most likely not. But moving forward, there are several pros and cons when it comes to low interest rate markets and high interest rate markets. Let's start with the lower interest rates. When we have low interest rates, that means that money is cheap. When money is cheap, people get shifted up in buying power. As we saw during the pandemic, the prices of homes went crazy because you had a large group of people with cheap money able to get pretty much any home that they wanted. When that happens, you have a very competitive market. And what that does is drive prices up. So when you're getting the money cheap, that's the pro. But the con is that the prices that you're paying for the actual home will be a lot higher than normal. So that's the pro and con of a very low interest rate, which everyone wants a low interest rate. I feel as though if you work very hard on your credit, that you should get rewarded for that through interest rates. When you come to slightly higher rates, where we are now, where we're in between a 6 and a 7 or slightly higher in some cases, depending on your credit score, the prices of the homes start to come down versus a lower interest rate where there's a lot of competition for homes. You know, some of these homes with the lower interest rate were getting 50 offers in one day. Well, when the interest rates are higher, there are almost no offers. The pro of buying a home with a slightly higher interest rate is that you have no competition in the market when you're a buyer at a higher interest rate. Now, the con is that your payment is going to be slightly higher. One more pro on the higher interest rate side is that a lot of sellers are slashing prices. The sellers are giving closing cost assistance, which is pretty much money that is free to you for you to use to lessen your expenses when it comes to buying that home. Now, when we had the lower interest rates, these sellers were not cutting prices. They were not giving seller assistance or seller credits. You had to have all of the money to put down to purchase the home, or you had to put down extra money to pay over list. But in the higher interest rate market, you won't see people paying over list price. So, with those pros and cons, if it's a higher interest rate market, you can actually get the home for a lot cheaper. Like I've said, I've helped buyers in the past get homes for almost $100,000 off of list. But that will never happen in a lower interest rate market. You're going to pay a markup versus getting a discount. Now, if you're somebody that is currently buying a home, or if you have a higher interest rate when you're buying, you can refinance that mortgage once the interest rates drop. You're kind of at an advantage. Maybe not starting out, but in the future, because you have purchased the home for a lower price. And once the interest rates drop and the prices start to drive up, you can then refinance into a lower rate, which will lessen your payment, and you will have grown equity. Versus the people who are buying in at lower interest rates, who are buying at the top of the market, they have a lower payment, but they do not have equity. In the case of that, they had an emergency and they really needed to sell, the people that are buying at the lower interest rates are most likely going to be stuck with the property, or they're going to have to pay money to sell the property, versus someone that bought it at a discount that may have room to sell because they bought it at a discount versus buying it at the top of the market. So there are pros and cons when it comes to paying a low interest rate versus a higher interest rate. You know, it's just the way the market is set up. I just want to give you all some clarity. I see a lot of people that are on the fence. They don't know if they should buy when interest rates are lower or if they should buy when interest rates are higher when there's no competition, you know, and I just want to just give clarity because there are pros and cons. You should wait and do what always works best for you. So again, it's Ronnie from over at Samson Properties. Make sure you subscribe and turn that notification bell on so that you never miss another video in reference to the DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia real estate markets. Thank you.